Hi everyone, it's Mark here, aka Captain DeFi from the Oz DeFi Association and Not Centralized. We're here for another community episode. This time we've got an artist in town, Danielle Weber. How are you?
Good. Happy Monday. I'm good. How are you?
Oh my gosh, happy Monday. Indeed. Why not kick off things with the best part of the week, yeah? And then, we'll roll into NFT Fest and all that.
Yeah, I know. Huge week ahead.
It's going to be awesome. But before we get started, why don't we take a massive step back? People might know you already, but for those that don't, can you tell us more about Danielle's artwork and how you got into art and all that? What's the origin story for you?
I love it. So I guess we'll take it back to 2 or 3 years old and started drawing at that age. We'll do a long story short because there's a lot of little things in between make up Danielle's artwork. But 9 years old, started painting with watercolor. Then soon after that with acrylic. And then I had a decent break in my rebellious teenage years. I didn't paint much at all. We won't go into what else I was doing, but yeah, that's fun. That makes you who you are. And then I think at about 17, 18, I started painting again, and it's been a 12-year journey since then. So I'm nearly 30, and it's just been a whirlwind of a roller coaster. I studied full time. I worked 3 jobs on the side to sort of, I guess, keep my passion going. So it's been now my sole income for 8 years, but it's sort of been like very livable more so in the last 2 years. So it did take 10 years to get to the stage where I was like, oh, okay, I think I might be able to be all right on this, living off this. So really a 12-year journey of consistent painting, and all I did was just I locked myself in my studio for hours on end. And there was a transition between like smaller scale and larger scale in there. So from canvases to large scale murals, and it's just forever learning. I feel like it never changes. It's like the Web3 space, it goes fast, but then everything just, there's always more to learn. You never arrive.
Are you in the studio now?
I am. This is my office. So
fantastic.
That's behind me. I just got Christmas cards delivered with my artwork on it, and I'm like, yay, it's really exciting.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, We've seen some, and we'll flash up on the screens here, just some shots from your Twitter, showing you in the studio creating the artwork. It's been amazing to watch, and just there's so many people that are getting into the Web3 space from the art side of things. We hear about music, but also like the raw arts as well, like the stuff that you're doing. Like, how did the Web3 stuff start for you? Where was that connection made initially?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I remember like 5 years ago, my partner would talk to me about crypto, and I was literally like, it's going in one ear and out the other, all around my head. I'm like, it used to bore me. I used to sit there and like yawn. I was like, I don't get this. I'm never going to get this. And then I started looking into crypto myself. So I invested probably in 2017. It would have been 2016, 2017. Wow. And still had no idea. But I mentioned that because if I hadn't have been, I guess, invested in crypto, I probably would have turned a blind eye to, or would have been in the too hard basket, the NFT side of things, for a lot longer. But having seen the power of, how fast the transactions were, I've had people pay me in crypto, having seen the power of, investing, especially as a female, I was like, okay, what's this about? Yeah. And knowing also that there was a very male dominant space made me more intrigued to get into it as well. So I think I saw, Beeple and a few other artists making some huge moves, and seeing Beeple like produce every day. I was like, what a machine. Like that's crazy. Yeah. So it was at the start of 2021 that I started looking into it. And I guess since then it's been a big rabbit hole that we've all gone down. And obviously it's been a bit of a whirlwind this year, especially, I've dropped 3 collections now, 2 in a good market and 1 in a challenging market.
Interesting.
So, and I did that for a reason, because I feel like we need to experience the lows and the highs to understand what works and what doesn't. And my attitude is, if you're in it for the long haul, then drop something to prove it, and drop something in a bear market. So Yeah, it's been crazy. Really excited to see what happens in the next sort of 5-10 years with it.
How's that journey been for you so far? I mean, it sounds like you're learning by doing. Many people, like we've got our Discord and Twitter and the folks that come to our meetups, but many people don't often get to learn by doing. And as you know, many people say, whether it is for investing or it is for building something or creating artwork and NFTs, there's no better way to do it. But yeah, what's that learning experience been like for you? You just mentioned that you've dropped collections in a bull market versus a bear market. What kind of things have you learned from that? What's the difference, first of all?
Huge learning. I think the learnings for me is that a lot of the difficulties that you face in Web 2 are sort of reciprocal in Web 3, in a sense that, when the markets are changing, when the economy is sort of taking a hit, you really double down and see like who your demographic is and how you can shift. So I think that's what I've sort of applied to this space too, but it has been more challenging, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing is just learning like patience with the market, and also just like tough learnings of, okay, I didn't convert anything to USDC before the market dropped, so the aspect,
okay, yeah,
huge learnings. And I think like the same thing in business, it's like, well, we wouldn't give up on our business that easily. So
if you believe
in it. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just to push forward. And it's like, okay, well, what else can we do that like we can control? And that's like educate, onboard. And so I've just been focusing on other things as much as sometimes, and I think everyone would agree, you feel like you're just working and giving and giving and giving to this space, and sometimes you don't know what the outcome is.
Yeah.
That's quite a beautiful, like, I guess, part of it, because you're like, what if it doesn't go anywhere? But we play that game in business. So
absolutely.
Why would it be any different in the Web3 space? So,
it's the same all over, depending on whatever your profession is, your skills and expertise that you bring into this space. And that's the thing, people don't realize that anything that you're doing, you can bring that into this space. There will be room for you if you're in marketing or operations or sales, or you're building stuff. There are ways to get into this space. So people, need to take a look. And certainly it's really interesting that you've seen the business side of things, that you have to adjust. And if you've got that belief, if you're in it for the right reasons, then this space should reward you. But even if, look, it's a game of luck. Sometimes you could be the right person, it's just the wrong time. And if it is the wrong timing, you've at least given something to the space rather than being extracted, which is a very Web 2, not all Web 2, but many in Web 2 are more extractive and selfish rather than selfless. And I feel like a lot of us are selfless in Web3. So it's interesting. So hopefully we do, get the rewards from that. But given that, you're an artist in the space, and you mentioned before being able to get paid in crypto and getting transferred much more easily. What are some of the other things that you're seeing that Web3 is really helping for artists? Because it's very different from someone like me telling an artist like, oh, well, you should get into this space because of blah, blah, blah. You're experiencing it. What is that like? What are you kind of seeing that's different for you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, definitely the transaction point of view and how quick that is. I laugh about it because when I did a job for the Yankees, they sent a check in the mail and it took like a month to get there. So like you work with some of the biggest corporations, and you've got so many advancements in tech that we don't take advantage of. So apart from that, I think the freedom that artists have now seen to be able to put out their own collections and their own work and create their, instead of ticking off briefs, which is what I've done for many years, they're putting out their own collections and building a community based on that. Like, people are there because they want to be there and they love their work, not because they saw it somewhere else or felt like it was a trend, if that makes sense. So as a lot, I'm talking about like a lot of the one-on-one artists and the I guess more niche as such. So that's huge in itself. And then I know there's a lot of talk about royalties, and whether or not royalties should be a thing. I think for the one-on-one artists and for some of the smaller projects, I think it's a lifeline for artists, and it enables them to be able to keep putting back into their projects and keep creating and giving them that. I haven't seen the benefits of royalties yet because I don't think any of mine have gone secondary yet.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, a lot of everyone's held, which is interesting. But in saying that, I think knowing that the power that may have in the future is what a lot of people, I guess, should be looking towards. Maybe not now, but 10, 15 years time, where you're a little bit older and you want to like cruise in your studio and you have, you know, some passive income. You know, because I could say, oh, prints and things like that, but at the end of the day, like, you still have to work hard for that. There's still a lot of background work. So I think royalties are huge and really do give a lifeline for artists. There's so many benefits. I think they're probably three of the main ones for me.
Okay, no, fantastic. And I mean, we could go into the whole kind of iceberg of things maybe another time, but people kind of see the surface level, they see the results, they see the output, they don't see all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
The blood, sweat and tears per se. And sometimes for some people that is literally blood, sweat and tears.
Really?
Doing the work. But, you know, given that there are these benefits there and, you know, a lot of what's happened, I mean, we're talking right now in the wake of FTX and the whole kind of drama that it's put in terms of people being able to trust the credibility of this space. But what hasn't changed, because that was a people problem. FTX with people, processes, bad procedures. But what's stayed the same is the blockchain technology that enables these payment rails, this persistent 24/7 being able to get paid, automation of payments, value transfer is much more easier, and people just being able to have better security around things. And given that we're still having this space that is moving forward and it's like the early days of the internet and we've seen what that's kind of turned into, given that crystal ball kind of thing, and obviously not financial advice, maybe it is artist advice, because I don't think you guys are governed by necessarily like, you know, ASIC or anything like that on that.
Yeah, I don't know. We're governed differently apparently. So.
Which is good. But where do you see the space heading for other artists in the space already, or people thinking about coming into this? Where do you see Web3 heading for artists?
Yeah, I think I see, crystal ball, I see a lot more artists banding together and building the communities as artists as well. Like, I know we're all building our separate communities, but I think what I've noticed is that it is quite a lonely journey, and there's so many great artists out there, and we don't talk to each other about the challenges that we face. So I think what this space has done is like, okay, we're not in competition, like we're all our own unique person, like let's band together and, you know, have a rant about how hard it is and how many blood, sweat and tears are shed to get to where you are. So I think crystal ball, I see that, and then collectively I think that in itself links really well with education. So I do believe that, like, whether that's me, but I think there needs to be a few huge advocates for, you know, being like, hey, I've done it, this is what you do, this is what you do wrong, this is what I did wrong. And then there being, like, you know, amazing platforms, step-by-step platforms for to onboard artists, and I guess in turn that will onboard investors and collectors as well. I think there's a lot of, as anything's new, there's a lot of crap out there, and there needs to be a big culling of a lot of stuff. And I think what we'll see in the next 5-10 years is we'll see a lot more projects come together with purpose and with more of a ripple effect. You know, I think some projects are doing that really well, but I'm more talking like, I want to, you know, if I do see PFP or, you know, huge generative pop up, you know, let's try and implement them into schools. Like, let's try and onboard kids. There's gaming and things like that. And I think, you know, we can tap into bullying and things like that. And I think a lot more in depth, you know, oh, that character is that because, you know, he was bullied at that age, and like, you can, you know, I have like big visions for kids, and I guess that's where things start. Like, we need to onboard the younger generation. So
absolutely, like, I've not seen enough of that. I've not seen, and maybe there are ones out there that are trying to teach it at schools. I mean, you see at universities, people doing stuff, but, you know, think beyond that. Where's that next wave of folks coming in? And it's going to be, just as you said, it's going to be the kids, the ones that aren't seeing this just yet, but they should be. And there's so many ways that you could apply this. Like, that would be really cool. This is just technology, it's digital technology that can help transform how people perceive and go through the usual suspect of things that you have as a kid, whether it is bullying or growing up and going through all the emotions as a teenager, the wave of things that you go through there. That would be really cool. So are you doing something in that space already around that education area?
So in terms of education, I've been building an online platform, feels like 10 years. I think it's only been a year and a half, but I'm just laughing next to me. We've been building a platform. I think the challenge that I face with it is because things move so fast. I'm like, oh, we can't do that. We've got to change this. And like, as I'm building it, it's changing. And it's like, when is ever going to be the right time to, you know, I've learned something like I've been doing that and that's been wrong for 10 years. So let's take that out. So because I'm learning as I'm going, you know, that imposter syndrome kicks in. But that platform, which will be accessible to all of my NFT holders, it's basically like I didn't have anyone to look up to or anywhere to go. I've just learned things as I've gone along. And this platform is like for the business of art, and it's just like I'm trying to change the narrative for creatives, and we have incorporated a package that will take artists through on where to start in the Web3 space and with NFTs and things like that too. So yeah, to be a pretty big course, like it's a four-part package of a course, and I think we just need more of that. So yeah, so that's what I'm talking about in education. In terms of like the kids aspect, I would love to get into like kids books and things like that, and then develop like a collection around that. So I don't know how that looks. We have some characters in mind and how we want to look, like how I want it to look, but how that gets implemented, you know, still working on. So,
be really interesting if there's like some way, because this space is so much about community. And I mean, this is, you know, the getting to know people in the community show, but I don't know, like, it could be something just as an idea where you build it in front of the community, with the community, where there's these ideas that come from the parents of, and, you know, NFT holder parents that they talk to their kids about this, they're showing their kids about this. Imagine the ripple effect that you could have by creating something like that, that is this world's first, I don't know, or maybe it's not a world's first, but still like this NFT type book and series where it is written by the community for the community. I don't know about what, but you know, that'd be really interesting. You could do that kind of thing here.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that, yeah, it's funny you say that, because I've seen a lot of parents that have spoken to me and they're like, oh, my 9-year-old daughter like designed all these NFTs. Like how is that even? And I think that's the key message there, is like we need to be those kids need to be tapping into that side of their brain at that age. We don't want any, you know, talent or like spark lost because, you know, they was spending their time studying something that they, you know, perhaps didn't fulfill them. So I think giving them those opportunities, and as you said, like it could be something like that. Yeah, that's really cool.
It's crazy, like what you would, you know, what I'm not an artist at all, but like what I was like potentially like drawing. I mean, if I had the talent, what I was drawing as a kid, knowing that if that was like good, you could lead it into a career because it ties in the tech and you're learning about it at that early age is fantastic. That would be absolutely amazing to see. So we're definitely going to watch this space, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I got so many ideas, not enough hours in a day. So
love it. Yeah, I know that's a problem that I face too. It's like 24 hours is seriously not enough. But training myself maybe to sleep less. I don't know. Maybe that's not good.
If you get older, it just gets harder to do.
Oh, it seriously does. Seriously. Yeah, absolutely right. And you know, a life begins at 30, I hear. And I just turned 40, so I hear life begins at 40.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Drinking from the fountain of youth. You know,
I do not believe
this is all Web3. This
no way. What the hell?
Yeah.
I literally would have said like mid-20s.
Oh, thank you so much. It's the fountain of Web3. Let's call it that. So apart from getting people
Web3, so I don't know what you've been drinking.
I don't. There's definitely all the after party drinks at the various meetups and conferences. I don't know if that helps or takes away from, but you know, just apart from the fountain of Web3, what are other things that you would want to see kind of improved in this space? And you kind of alluded to some of them with the education and getting rid of some of the crap. that's out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is there anything else that you'd want to improve in the space if you could just do anything?
It's hard. I think we all know, like on the bigger scale, we all know there's like a lot that needs to be done with regulation, and I guess that's probably why it can't stem as far deep as kids, because it is like, it can be quite a misleading and dangerous space with all the scamming and everything. So I get that. I think people need to be held more accountable for their actions. Like, and this is like, I don't like, I'm generally have quite a positive view on everything, but I think in business, in Web 2, when you say things, like, you do them. And I think in Web 3, there's a lot of fluff still going around, and people aren't being held accountable for that because it's new. But I think in business, like, if things don't work, or if you say things and you don't do them, like, it's generally more repercussions. Whereas at the moment, I think a lot of things are good at, being swept under the rug. So I think that's something that needs to be worked on. But
that's pretty good. And it's interesting because, like, I'm not saying that all things need to be on chain, but there are these tools that make things immutable, that people can't go back and say, oh no, I didn't say that, or like, I didn't agree to that. We can use the tools that we've got in some way, shape or form, but it does sometimes feel like a double-edged sword. Like, great, you put stuff on chain, but in a negative way, it's like, well, crap, that's stuck on chain and we can't get that. So there's a bit of a trade-off there, but I like the fact that you mentioned accountability, because even if there aren't these rules and regulations yet, there are existing rules and regulations around treatment of financial products and securities, and many people are trying to do things thinking that they're not going to be affected by it, but they are. And we're seeing that now with ASIC chasing down people here in Australia, the SEC overseas. So people do need to act. Just because it's a Wild West doesn't mean no accountability. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of the West, you recently traveled to the US for a unveiling of some artwork that you did for The Rock and the Black Adam premiere. And I had no idea. I just saw it all of a sudden on Twitter. I'm like, what the heck? I'm about to watch that movie. What are you doing there? And not surprised, because your artwork's amazing. But how did that happen?
No excuse for like bad response times on Twitter, but like, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. I think it's taken me like a week to get back to you every time, so I appreciate your patience.
No, all good. All good.
Yeah, no, look, he asked me to do a piece at the start of this year, and the movie got pushed back and we left it till the last minute, standard. So I had 6 days to do this piece, and basically I thought I was just going to drop it off and do a U-turn and good to go, but he had plans and he wanted me to present it to him at the global premiere in Times Square.
Epic.
In New York City. And so it was like, he walked in on the black carpet and did his little intro, and then my reveal was next up. So it was pretty much first off the bat, for his entrance on that.
I didn't realize it was a black carpet.
Black carpet. Wore a red suit, so classic style right there. Yeah, so look, I think there's a greater message in that, which I said, I was able to say a few words on the carpet, and I think, a lot of people don't, or underestimate what I went through to get there and how hard it is. And I was then, people were like, are you on your own? I'm like, yeah, I rolled up to Times Square on my own. Like, I didn't know anyone there. And the amount of output that something like that takes. But the greater message is that anything's possible. You don't need to be the best artist. You don't need to be, it doesn't matter who you are. I think if you what you put out in the universe is what comes back. I had a laugh to him about it, because I just said, how does this happen to me? It's quite amusing. But no, he obviously has holds me and trusts me, because that was huge to be able to, like, he didn't see the artwork before I presented it to him.
Oh, so, wow. I didn't know.
He had no idea what I had done to him.
Jeez.
So a lot of trust in, I guess, that moment. And he, I had a conversation with him a couple of days before we revealed that, and he just said it was his biggest accomplishment to date. He'd been working on it for 15 years. So to be able to trust me with something like that is huge.
That is crazy, and we'll definitely have to link to the all the details that you had from that, and we saw obviously like in other parts of the news the unveiling and stuff as well as like what you posted, but yeah, that was just there was definitely something that you definitely put Aussie artists on the map with that one, so I think you should be very proud of yourself for that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And just given that people will want to get in touch with you and learn more about it, if you're attending NFT Fest, folks, or sorry, you will have attended because we're filming this during the week of, and it takes a bit more time to put together. So you'll be seeing this in the past. But anyway, given that we are heading to NFT Fest, and people will want to no doubt talk to you there. You're up on stage for that, aren't you? Like you've got, yep. Okay. We'll put links in the show notes about where people can reach out and all that kind of stuff. But just while we're here on video, what are the main ways for people to get in touch, whether they're inspired, they want to commission you to do pieces, or just have a chat? Where do people usually reach out to you?
Okay, we're spread across. So my biggest one is Instagram, I guess. I'm pretty good on DMs there, but Twitter, of course, LinkedIn. I've got a Discord community too, if you want to jump in there. Facebook, I have personal Instagram too. There's multiple. There's TikTok. I don't really reply to DMs there though. But yeah, Twitter, LinkedIn, Discord, Instagram, probably the main ones.
We'll make sure that we list all of them down, and no problem at all, because we are spread out across everything as well. Do you find yourself that some of the channels you're just not on as much, or you don't post to as much, or is it pretty evenly spread for you guys?
I'm not on Facebook very much. Like Alessandra looks after Facebook and LinkedIn. Yep. Twitter, I just find it hard to keep across my DMs there. But I try to like check everything, but I definitely don't sit there and scroll. I don't know.
Yeah. You're too busy building and creating.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I wish sometimes I'll do a good like Twitter scroll and LinkedIn, but yeah.
Okay. Well, look, fantastic. There's a whole heap of links here for people to reach out to, so we'll list them below. But Danielle, thank you so much for your time. That was, I learned something definitely with all of this, and looking forward to seeing you in person.
Yes.
Meet up, but also, just watching your journey as it goes along. So thank you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.